Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And it's Native American Tatanka.
He's back again, folks. A brand new Wrestling Insiders special edition is next. Stand by. Boston wrestling sports and the WWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome to another Wrestling Insiders. I'm so thrilled to be back by a man that we've had such great conversations with thus far. WWE legend, I'd like to think a future Hall of Famer, Native American Tatanka. Back in action,
I
baby.
think it's awesome to be here on the Wrestling Insiders. It's also a blessing to be on a WWE Legends contract. You just mentioned that. You know, most people, fans are always asking me that. Tatanka, when you go into the Hall of Fame? Tatanka, when you get, well, you know, if you understand a little bit about WWE, that's what they do. The Legends contract is part of all of that. You know, then they give you the elite figure. They put you in the games. They give you the Legends Topps trading cards. It's just, as we always say, it's Vince's show. So just sit back, be cordial, let them do their thing. But in the meantime, everything's been absolutely awesome. So very happy and looking forward to the future. And again, what comes from being on the WWE Legends contract.
And it'll be great once we have Hall of Fame ceremonies for people to be able to go to again as the
there
world
you go.
opens
Yeah,
up,
of course. Right? Yeah. Actually, you mentioned that. WrestleMania was supposed to be in my neck of the woods last year. It was supposed to be in Tampa, Florida. Now, I understand that Vince is trying to bring it to Tampa. It's supposed to be in California. He's wanting to bring it to Tampa, but everything and a smart move because we got Governor DeSantis. It's all about being open, but man, I just don't know if we have time for WrestleMania to actually have fans. You gotta have fans. You gotta have fans. You gotta have that feel. Like when Bam Bam Bigelow, with that great angle we had, get me in that headlock, reverse chin lock, and all of a sudden, here's the fans. Shoom, shoom, shoom. It creates everything, the energy, the connection. And if you know how to work, you know how to tell a story, you know what to do in that ring psychology, my God, what you can do in an audience with a building sort of. So I just don't know if WrestleMania is going to happen this year the way that everyone would like to see it with a full arena. I mean, we're only, what, a few months away?
Yeah, especially by the time this is, you're probably talking April, 4 months or so.
4 months?
That's not a lot of time to get tickets on sale.
Of course, and most people don't know Vince McMahon. He plans everything. He plans it from WrestleMania back.
It's usually 15, as far as how WrestleMania is mapped out, just knowing through our friends in the office, it's a 15-month process ahead of time.
Exactly.
So under normal,
that's what I was trying to say. 12 months, but you're saying 15 months, and you're right.
Under normal circumstances, if life was quote unquote normal right now, there'd be a large group of people in the office not worrying about WrestleMania this year.
Exactly.
They'd be working on WrestleMania 38 already.
Exactly. You got it correct. Exactly. It's always traditional, I was trying to say, a minimum 12-month project. So, we want to see things get back so we can have those big WrestleMania crowds. I'm so thankful. WrestleMania 32, again, another part of the WWE Legends contract, making an appearance on the Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal. WrestleMania 32, I was there to be able to walk out and see 101,763 people.
I think it was 102,000.
No, it was 101,763.
All right.
Yeah,
You worked it,
unless it's changed, it's 101,763 indoor attendance record that Vince broke with millions watching, but 101,763.
I will never forget. WWE, they, were nice enough to have me as a guest and had me next to the hard camera. And I just remember looking, level upon level upon, I'm getting goosebumps thinking of it
Dallas
right now.
Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, this level upon level of just, I don't think I'll ever see, well, if they go back to Dallas, I might. But at that point in my life, I have never seen anything like that Dallas WrestleMania. I remember when Austin came out as an unannounced surprise in a little angle with New Day.
Yes.
It was so loud, the building went silent, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yes.
It was crazy.
Oh, yeah, crazy, yeah. It's tremendous. WrestleMania is an event that it's the biggest sports entertainment event of anything. But what you feel that week, the build-up, the electricity, what you feel, you can actually cut it with a knife. And what's happening in that building that night for WrestleMania is absolutely tremendous. I've been blessed enough to be involved with several different WrestleManias. Some people never get that opportunity, but man, it's turned up a huge notch at WrestleMania.
It's akin to me, when WrestleMania ends, it's almost like the end of Christmas Day.
Of
You're going to wait a whole year for it to happen again.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So hopefully we get back to normal, fans. That's what we're trying to say. A big filled arena. So again, I don't know what we're doing with Tampa. Have you heard anything yourself? I mean, I haven't heard anything.
Some of our friends in Connecticut, I've been told that California is going to be tough to do much of anything.
And of course.
That may have to get bumped. But if there is a place that may be very welcoming to the idea of having an event with spectators like that, Florida, I think, would be the state. I don't know how familiar you are with AEW, but
yes.
They're getting in their smaller amphitheater, 750, 1,000 people.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, would you want to see Raymond James Stadium with 15,000 people, though?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know.
No, I don't. Yeah.
It would be odd.
Yes, it would be very, very odd.
Now, they've done I think, again, we talk about their state-of-the-art production values. I think the whole Thunderdome they've created with all those television sets, it's better than anything else I've seen in sport and entertainment.
Now, that is down in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yeah, now they're at the home of the Rays.
Yeah, home of the Rays. And that's, so you guys know, that's very close to not where I live now, but very close to where I used to live. I used to have a house right on the water for many, many years. I bought back in the 90s until about several years ago, we moved from that area to go up to where we're at now, where we have land and it's spread out. But that area is that's a good building for where they're working at right now, and they weren't doing anything. I think they're there for the next few months.
At least until the Rays start.
Yeah. They're there for the next few months.
Who knows what's going to happen with the baseball season?
Yeah,
that's a different story for a different time. Hopefully they get in more. I don't know if you're a baseball fan, but hopefully more than 60 games. That was kind of...
Well, don't forget Florida, Yankees, spring training place. So, even if you're not a big baseball fan, you got the Yankees spring training there. Plus, the Rays have done well. They've played very well over the last several years. We have great sporting events, hockey. Come on, Tampa Bay Lightning. Just great. I mean, Buccaneers years ago team went to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's just, great sporting events. It's crazy to see not the fan base. Yeah, it's crazy.
What's that movie that was out when we were younger called The Year Without a Christmas or something like that?
Yes, correct. Yes.
The Year Without a WrestleMania. We don't want to have that.
Yeah,
it was bad enough with this year's one. It was just so odd having no fans in an empty, warehouse type setup. But you know what? it'll make us appreciate the fact that we can have it again once we do it.
Exactly, and that's exactly how you say it. And you appreciate the things that you miss. You got it correctly.
All right, my friend, take us back to January 1991. The War Eagle Chris Chavis, his first opportunity to wrestle a non-televised dark match in the World Wrestling Federation. How did it come to be? What was your impression of this WWE production that you arrived at? I believe it was in, I'm losing my train of thought already. Where was your first TV taping?
You got me where that first TV taping would have been, but I definitely remember it because, you know, I came from working in the Carolinas. Very good area for wrestling. North Carolina had a great area for wrestling. Actually, the guy who was working in North Carolina was George Scott, George and Sandy Scott. Okay, in the wrestling business, the Carolinas was just a hot area for wrestling. And we did TV, you know, and we'd have 1,000 people, you know. So I had been doing TV and had that big enough crowd and going to high school gyms where it'd be jam-packed, maybe 1,500 people. But man, when you came to World Wrestling Federation, it was a total different animal. Total different animal. Before actually getting hired, I had 2 tryouts, which is done on TV. Then I had my 3rd tryout, okay, which I came as War Eagle Chris Chavis, and my 3rd tryout was with Skinner. Everyone remember Steve Kern?
Yep.
Skinner. So that was my 3rd tryout. But my first match, if I remember, I don't know if you might have that down there, Dan, if I remember, it was against Cato, if I remember right.
You're incorrect.
Incorrect? I can't remember who it was.
You worked a lot with the gentleman in the first year, but as far, you talking about your tryouts, your first televised matches?
No, I think one of my first matches, it wasn't even a televised event. I think I actually worked with Cato. Who do you have on the list?
Dusty Wolf was the gentleman the first night.
Oh, Dusty Wolf. Yeah, I worked with Dusty Wolf several different times. Dusty Wolf, too, also, if I remember well, he actually came out of the Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think
Dusty Wolf did?
Yeah, I think
didn't know
Dusty
that.
Wolf.
Okay.
I think he had been through there, Dusty Wolf, and had done some stuff there. He didn't actually train there. He trained somewhere else, but I think he said he had been there. Yeah, but great training school I came from too. Monster Factory too. A lot of great names that came out of there. Bam Bam Bigelow. Of course, Bam Bam.
Yeah,
just
that was one of the
tremendous.
most recognized schools.
But coming to WWF, man, coming from where I'm at, high school gyms, and now you come to this big, huge stage of WWF. Man, I'm not a fearful kind of guy, but man, not fear, it was just wanting to do my best. The butterflies, wanting to do my best, because here's your opportunity. Now it begins.
And you never know if you're going to get it again.
Of course, and you know, and you're correct. In that era, guys, it was totally different. It's not like how you see all the stars today. Literally, 1 or 2 openings might open up, and those openings would be filled very quickly.
And a lot of guys wanted them.
Exactly, a lot of guys wanted them. So when you had the opportunity, you did not want to miss on the opportunity. So I was very nervous to do my best. Not nervous to be out in front of fans, because I'd been doing it for a whole year. I was very, very blessed that from the time I made the decision to leave Bally's Corporation, which I was making a 6-digit income, and I'll speak to everyone out there, just like Vince McMahon, I don't care what you do, if you're going to do something great, there's always a risk. You always got to take a risk. I actually quit a job making a 6-digit income to pursue something I had never done, professional wrestling. So that's kind of crazy. Everyone was telling me, you're crazy, you lost your mind. Even my parents, my close family was going, Chris, that's only a dream. I go, yeah, it is a dream. So again, we were on another segment here. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. All you need to do is, you've got to stand by yourself, is believe in yourself. You can do it all by yourself, okay? Having God with you, it's even more powerful because he's going out before you. But, you know, so everything I'd done during that time, I'd been in front of the crowd. But to be in front of that World Wrestling Federation that first time, all the cameras, sold out Coliseum, it was very, very nervous. But I just went out, did what I had to do. Of course, if you look at film of everybody, if you look at the greats like Shawn Michaels, you look at the greats like Razor Ramon, Ric Flair, all the greats, when they first started, they weren't that perfected superstar that they were years later. So it really helped me by working a year, before that, and what I was blessed with is I only had to work 1 year from the time I made the decision to get into the business. 1 year later, I was signed by World Wrestling Federation. Wow. 1 year after making the decision. That's what I'm saying. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. I quit a job making a six-digit income. They were grooming me for $250,000 a year. I was making $100,000 a year. I quit that job. Everyone thought I was crazy. Funny story, since Dan's Italian here, the company was owned by the Palombos. I can't tell you, after I made the decision to quit, all these Italians came into my office and they sat down in front of me. I felt like it was the Godfather movie. They were making me an offer that I couldn't refuse. They offered me $30,000 a year increase on the spot. You know, so it had been $130,000 not to go. But as I looked across the table, I told them, I said, listen, guys, you would not be in the position that you are today if you didn't take risks, if you didn't believe in yourself, if you didn't see something that was a big dream that you had, and you went and pursued it. I said, I know you guys can appreciate that. And I says, I have to do this. So I quit that kind of job with the mafia, the Godfather trying to make me stay. I quit that, and 1 year later I signed. So that's a little bit about me. But again, man, stepping into WWF with the production value, it was a total different world. But really, what helped me there, again, we mentioned him earlier, was Chief Jay Strongbow. He was my strong guy that had me by my wing. And plus, also one great thing that I realized to end with that question, I knew that I was representing a whole nation of people. So I knew that if I could get an opportunity to be on the grand stage of World Wrestling Federation, WWE, then not only could I have a great career, but I could represent my people proudly, which we have, of course.
You were back a month later in Orlando and Fort Myers. Again, you had a victory again over a Dusty Wolf, as well as Brooklyn Brawler Steve Lombardi. What was the communication like at that point? Did they have a strong interest in signing you? Did they say, keep working the indies? Because you were back later in 1991, as you noted, full-time. But what happened at that point, at the end of those few tryouts?
Actually, I signed with them. 1991, I was already on contract. I had already signed at the ending of the 90s, and I started in 91. But what they did is they started me as War Eagle Chris Chavis until we finally decided, and as things started working, they finally made the decision, we're going to go with this. They seen that I was comfortable in the ring. All the guys, as they report, they put you with good veterans.
Right.
Or guys, they know how to work.
Yep.
They can report back to the office. He knows what he's doing. He's being very comfortable out there. He's easy. Because what they shortly did after that is I went from War Eagle Chris Chavis that I started, my own character that I developed, okay? Then that's when I took on the name Tatanka. If you remember, and we're talking about vignettes, the great time of World Wrestling Federation, going back to the vignettes, we were right to my tribal homelands. Vince loved it, and I think he already knew that. They want to see you work in the ring and see that you're going to get it before they invest all that TV production time in you, which can cost millions of dollars when they're focused on you. So finally, they made the decision that War Eagle Chris Chavis would take this transformation and take on the name Tatanka and be the leader of a new generation for the Native Americans. So that's what happened. We went to my native lands and we had this transformation where I was with all the native people. I was standing by the Lumbee River, where we got our name from. The Lumber River, Lumbee Indians, that's where we got our name from. And I was making this big thing about rising to the heights of the World Wrestling Federation. Also, I had our shaman, our holy man, dancing around me with eagle feathers, and that's where I took on the name Tatanka. And that's where it changed, and that's where they went boom, put the pedal to the floor, and that's where I went on a 2-year undefeated streak, and it was tremendous.
Do you remember where they taped those vignettes? Was it in North Carolina?
Oh yeah, we did it right on my tribal lands.
Wow.
Yeah, we did it in Pembroke. Yeah,
we did right in Pembroke.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
So
cool.
that's how you know. One of them, again, as we're here with Paul Bearer, when I first came in after I had already signed, okay, and they had worked me as War Eagle Chris Chavis right at the beginning of '91, and they already knew, okay, this is what we're going to do. They already made the decision. Boom. And we switch. Then I'm doing the Tatanka poster, and I remember at the beginning, Undertaker, Mark, who actually I travel with, joking, going, look at this young kid, this young stud coming in. He's already getting posters. I'm doing the photo shoot, and he's joking over here, but I'm doing the photo shoot. Look at this young kid getting posters and T-shirts already and action figures. They started right out of the get-go with me. I mean, I started right with a T-shirt, posters. The T-shirts, the posters were always selling out. Of course, I was part of the Hasbro line, which started in 92, I think, or 93. I can't remember when the Hasbro line started.
The line itself started in 90. I think your first figure would have been out in 93.
93, correct. 93. It was 92, 93.
Back then, it wasn't like today. It took them a couple of years just to make the model.
Exactly.
So they couldn't get them out right away.
So I transformed from War Eagle Chris Chavis to, again, Tatanka. And as soon as I took that name on, that was it. They put the pedal to the floor, and that was it. Undefeated.
Since, funny side note, since we know there's a lot of action figure collectors, it's a big thing nowadays.
Yes.
I come across different groups and so on social media, but did you know your original Hasbro figure wasn't going to be in the red and the blue? They actually had a docked up one that was going to be designed with you in the original white
pants. Of course they did.
They never
I've seen
produced
that.
it, but I never knew
produced
that
it.
until
Yeah,
recently.
I've seen that. Yeah. You can actually see the actual artwork done with the white tights with the Native American symbols on the side. Yeah.
That would have been cool to have two different Hasbro designs.
Of course they did.
The only difference with your two figures was the card it was on. One was on a blue and one was on a purple.
A purple.
But
You
the
got
same
it.
figure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same figure. You got it.
But
correct.
people wanted them, so they kept
Yes,
making them. Yeah.
everyone loved the Hasbros. They still love the Hasbros.
They're going
It's
for
tremendous. You talk about action figures. We just did virtuals, several different virtuals just recently. My Elite signed, people were buying it at $150.
Wow.
Everything we had at the virtual, they sold out of everything. Hasbros, Ruthless Aggression, Jack's Pacific.
That's right. You were on for the
Superstar
Jack's
line.
days, too.
Yep. I mean, everything we have. So get the action figure coming out. Tatanka's got a new figure coming out again. The WWF Legends Elite Collection Series 9 coming out. Target exclusively any day now.
I know they are coming soon. I think 8 is in the store right now, and
8's
I
in the
believe
store.
yours is it
9? It's
so
next.
soon.
Very soon.
Very
soon.
And like I said, hopefully we'll have you back before the 10th annual pallbearer toy drive, but I think it'd be great for us to pick some of those up, and then, when we do another virtual signing in the future, the fans can have them
Of course, yes.
ready to roll.
Of course.
It's a great collectible, but what a better way to have it signed than by the man himself.
Yeah, and they did an awesome job. I mean, it's not the Tatanka, but man, they do an absolutely great figure with Mattel. It's tremendous.
So realistic.
So realistic. Tremendous.
The scans they do are just...
I mean, you got to love the Hasbro, you got to love the Ruthless Aggressions, you got to love the Jack's Pacific, but the Mattel is so in detail.
Right.
If you look at my Elite, my loincloth is exactly to a T the loincloth that I wore in the squared circle. I mean, to a T. They didn't miss any designs. Everything is done traditionally how you were in the ring. That's so it's great. Defining moments, how they make sure that you had the gear that was part of that WrestleMania, or like me, my original debut, my actual ring gear that I debuted in. Just tremendous. They do a great job.
First-class action figures.
Of course it is.
Figures, I just
Absolutely
wanted to
awesome.
throw that out there because I, as someone that had virtually every Hasbro action figure when I was a kid, I didn't know that there was at least a prototype being made for the white-tighted.
Yeah, white-tighted. Yeah, I've seen that.
That would have been cool to have
It would have been cool, but the WWE fan base has been talking to me for so long. I hope they do one with your white tights. I hope they do one with your white tights. And now this one's came out, so I'm so happy for them. Because WWE or Mattel or whoever has been hearing, and now they're coming out with the white tights. And it's so great because there's so many options with me. The Tatanka, the undefeated with the red mohawk, of course with the white tights, and of course when we went to Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and we joined the $1 Million Corporation.
All black.
So
all brown,
so there's a lot different. That's another thing that I understand with the Legends contract. One of the things they mentioned that there's so many different varieties with me, so you can get more bang for your buck, as they would
opposed to
say.
just a one-trick pony.
You got it, of course.
Take us back to the big night, October the 21st, 1991. WWF at the time, things were going crazy with what was going on in the news, but at the arena, it was the night Ricky Steamboat decided to give notice. As punishment, they wanted him to job to Undertaker and IRS on TV in the same night. The Dragon left. It was the same night one of the most infamous angles, I think, in WWF history, when Jake's Cobra bit into the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes.
But it was also the same night Native American Tatanka had his official in-ring WWF debut with a pinfall victory over the veteran we mentioned earlier, Skinner, Steve Kern.
Of course.
Big night.
Oh, big night. Very, very big night. But, again, what makes all these nights so big is just not only having a great victory like that over a known name, a great talent in the industry, but to be there with Macho Man, to be there with some of the greatest stars in the business, just tremendous. To be there, just to be part of World Wrestling Federation during that time. People ask me all the time. They ask me all the time, what's so special? Everything was special about WWF. I'll never forget, we mentioned his name earlier, the person who took me out after they signed me after my third tryout, and my third tryout was actually against Skinner. The person who took me out in the building that night before the show started was Pat Patterson himself.
Really?
Pat Patterson took me out from behind the curtains and brought me in the building. No one knew who I was at that time. Okay, and I already came out of all my, they didn't know who I was at that time. I had only had a tryout. And he had me in the building, like where the curtain, like where you walk out, but actually in the building. He says, I want you to hear this. I want you to know this is what you're looking for. And the guy who was getting ready to come out was, again, the immortal Hulk Hogan. When that music hit, whoa! You talking about a pop? You don't see that anymore. You don't, and it's not nothing against the talent today. It's just a different era. It's different fan base. It's a different response. It's a lot of different factors.
Different presentation.
Yeah, different presentation. A lot of different things. But man, the pop, boom! And when Hogan came through there, it was like electric. You could cut it with a knife. You could cut it with a knife. So again, that first night with me, man, having that pinfall victory and starting and being around just everything and all the great stars. And again, Macho Man Randy Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts, Ultimate Warrior, Hogan, the biggest names, Legion of Doom. Just to be part of all that was just tremendous. Just to feel, it was so special. It was so special to be part of that era. Everyone that you looked at, everyone was a superstar in their own right. No one came out looking like Rick the Model Martel.
No.
No one came out looking like Bam Bam Bigelow.
Everybody was different.
Everyone was unique. Everyone was different. That's the reason when you look at Tatanka's action figure, red mohawk, loincloth, beadwork, moccasin boots, but then you look at all the other guys, boots, tights, knee pads, and a lot of it black and dark colors. So again, it was just tremendous to be part of that. And probably the biggest thing for me is just to have that first official debut and to have the ball kicked off for me, to have that victory and all the hard work put in, all the sacrifice, giving up a career of $100,000 a year, $130,000. That night was special for me because I knew you've made it.
I wonder if the Palombos saw it.
Yeah, Palumbo's correct. Well, here's exactly what happened too. It's a good thing too. Where the club that I managed was a 70,000 square foot club. It had an Olympic-sized swimming pool, indoor running track, 17 racquetball courts, a restaurant and lounge, free weight room, circuit training. A nursery. It had everything in this club. Well, when I made the announcement, everybody thought I was crazy because you're making $100,000 a year. You're doing very well. I'd already
Especially in that time.
I'd already bought the house. I'd already bought the car, in Florida. I was already doing very well. I wasn't one of the guys looking to make money, but I seen the opportunity of WWF taking me to a different level and also giving me a worldwide stage to represent Native American, First Nation, and Indigenous people worldwide. But it was just tremendous, man. It was just tremendous to finally, after all that sacrifice, all that risk, and then have that first boom.
You had
because you knew, because the way the creative, you knew what they were doing. And plus at that time, they had already taken me and done the vignettes.
Yeah.
They had already invested, went to my tribal lands, had all the vignettes on TV, me standing there. They had already introduced me to the WWE, as we call Universe today. They already introduced me to the World Wrestling fans before I'd even stepped out. They had already got you over. Just tremendous how it was done during that time.
To the fans that unfortunately may not have been alive or have witnessed the experience that was the WWF back then, probably for a good 6 weeks before that match with Skinner ever aired on television, there were these great 30-second, 1-minute vignettes of you on Indian tribes to get you over as a superstar. So instead of trying to warm you up in a debut match to a cold crowd, as soon as you walked out of that curtain the first time as Tatanka, that's the guy we've been seeing the past 6 weeks.
Exactly. And Vince was very, very smart too. Great. You guys get to hear all the stories that you don't get to hear. They flew me after the tryouts and everything, and the third tryout, and they said, we're hiring you. Actually, this was so special about that time. They flew me from Florida. No, excuse me. At that time, it was North Carolina. They flew me from North Carolina directly to Titan Tower. So here I am with Vince McMahon and who else? Pat Patterson in Titan Tower, okay? And they're talking to me and saying, this is what we're going to do. They say, well, okay, Tatanka, you know, let's walk you over here. We went to the art department. We went to the art department. I see my whole character already drawn out. All in white tights, you know, the beadwork, the earrings, the red mohawk, okay? Had everything already drew. And we walked around and seen all the great posters down the halls of Titan Towers. We went to the gym, sitting in Vince's office, and then one of the things Vince asked me, he says, listen, I really want to ask you something. You've seen your character with the red mohawk. He says, let me ask you something, you know. Was this something traditional that, again, Native Americans would truly have a red mohawk? I go, yes. I said, absolutely, the warrior nation, which is one of the most feared nations, which is the Mohawks. The Mohawks would take red beads, red berry beads, and they would use that to make their mohawk red.
Really?
Yeah, red. I said,
so
he said, it is something that would really be done. I go, yes. He says, how do you feel about that? Now, remember, I just came from Florida. I was working in Bally's, a Fortune 500 company, okay? Always in front of business people every single day. Had just flown to Titan Towers on an airplane, okay? Vince asked me, how do you feel about having a red mohawk? But more important than that, just not for the show, how do you feel about having a red mohawk all the time? That was a very important question, guys, because I could have said, you know, Vince, I'm not so sure I like that idea. Would Tatanka even be existing today?
You may have had a long career at Bally's.
Of course. I could have had a longer career at Bally's, correct. But guys, you know, I looked at Vince, I said, sure, of course, no problem. Instantly. You know what happened that day? You know what they had planned that day? They already had it planned that day if I was fine with it, which obviously to get signed and for all of this to happen, I had to be fine with her, or it probably wouldn't have worked out the great way that it has worked out. And for me to ultimately be honored, the greatest way that you can be honored, there's no greater way to being honored than being called a legend with the biggest wrestling company in the world. And they call you that, not you call you that, because they have you on contract as a legend. By saying yes. What happened that day, they already planned it. They already had an appointment for me at a studio down in Connecticut, at a hair studio. I went right downtown, got my hair cut low on the sides, got my middle of my hair bleached, and in color with red poppy seed, red hair color. I came back to the office. Vince actually see me with a red mohawk, and I actually flew back home on an airplane with a red mohawk. I had the red mohawk all the time.
You had the contract signed at that point, I hope.
Yes, it was already signed.
Good,
yes.
good. So the process was, just so I understand it a little better, I want our friend Sarge Russo and whatnot at the Noel Salon in Malden to know this. You would have to bleach the part that was going to go red?
Bleach, oh yes.
Really? Okay.
You could that red, bright red color I have, you would have never got that on top of black hair. No,
okay. See,
no,
I never thought about it from that point of view.
I actually had to bleach it, guys, and then I had to color it. So it was a double whammy. I had to bleach and then color. Thank God I'm truly Native American, still got all my hair, strong bloodline as far as Native blood. But, it was about 2 years later, finally I went into the office, Vince, I went, Vince, I know it's been 2 years, just wanted to ask you a question. He said, sure, Tatanka. I said, I don't want to lose my hair because I'm coloring my hair, I'm bleaching it and coloring. You think maybe the red hair has served its purpose? He said, sure, Tatanka, you don't have to do it no more. Just like that, boom.
And honestly, I think that's great because initially it really made you stand out and help get
exactly.
you over. But once you were over, you didn't need it anymore.
Exactly. That's what my whole point, and you just brought me right back full circle while I was getting ready to say that. Vince was very smart because here's a guy, Vince could look at talent, knew you were athletic. He knew that you were, as we call in the business, green, new, okay? Don't forget, I'd only been wrestling for a year beforehand, only a year. Here I'm coming to the biggest company in the world with the greatest names in the wrestling world, the greatest superstars in the wrestling world. I'd only been working 1 year, but Vince already liked me, loved that I was truly Native American because he truly could tell a story with something with that. So what Vince did, how can I make everyone look? Oh, I know, red mohawk. Everyone knew me because that red mohawk. I can't tell you how many people, when they pick a picture on the table, you know what picture they pick? Red mohawk, red mohawk, red mohawk all the time. Red mohawk. What was the first elite figure they did with me? The red mohawk. So it's I'm so thankful that Vince thought of it. And I'm so thankful that I was fine with it. I'm so thankful that it was truly part of tradition with natives that they would do a red mohawk, okay? So it was because Vince didn't want to do anything that was wrong with that character. I'm just so glad we went with it because today I found out it's one of the most memorable things that people love about me. The red mohawk, people tell me now, do the red mohawk again. Do the red mohawk. You got all your hair. You still got that mullet. You still got that red hair.
Plenty of pictures.
Yeah, they go, do the red again. They want me to do the red again. So it could be something that we could surprise. It could be something we could do down the road on something special. So
hey, you never know.
Never know.
As they say, anything can happen in the World Wrestling.
Of course, that's right. Anything can happen on WWF.
Now, with some of the smaller nuances that went along with it, a little bit of face paint, the white tights.
Yes.
Did you have input onto that, or was that kind of presented to you by the company?
The company already had the native designs. They had already done research to get true native designs. So what they had already portrayed, as soon as I seen it, as soon as I agreed with the red mohawk, they already started going to their seamstress. Were already making my outfits for me. My full outfit was already being made for me. Vince had already given the go. The girls who work with the company today are still the same girls that were there when I came in the 90s.
Right?
Julie and Terry. Julie and Terry.
Terry's the other one.
They're doing absolutely
Julie.
Awesome. You know, hello, Julia Terry. They've done so much of all the great superstars. You know, all the guys' outfits. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon. You know, myself. You know, all the great names, and they're still doing everybody's outfit.
And when it comes to the WWF, WWE presentation, think of what that. I don't know. I hate to use the word costuming, but think of what that adds to the presentation of these larger-than-life superstars.
Oh my gosh!
You
Tremendous.
have the music. You have the look. All before anything happens with the bell ringing.
Of course. I mean, I came out white tights, symbolic with native. I had boots with had feathers hanging off of it. I had a native necklace, turquoise necklace. I had earrings in. I had war paint. I had a red mohawk, and plus I had the tan thing that I wore on top, the tan big thing with the short. What an outfit! What a regalia!
How did you carry all that around? You didn't have a lot of bags, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was very, very smart in how I packed it. We always, traditionally, everybody would always have 3 bags. Your carry-on bag, which normally would be your gear. But my headdress would have to go in my check-in because, again, the way I had to package that. Yeah, but you could take a headdress and fold it, and it doesn't get broken, but I had to have it inside of a package that would not let it bend. Because, again, I was on the road 300 days a year. So, again, just carrying it back and forth to the ring all the time. 300 days a year, it would get damaged, but I really had to protect. So I had my own way of protecting everything.
You were smart about it.
Very smart about it.
Well, you had to. That was the lifeblood of Tatanka.
Of course.
Yeah.
And in your contract, it says you're responsible for your gear. So if you don't bring your gear or something like that, you're in trouble.
They don't want you out there in a pair of jeans.
That's right. Yeah. Wrestling's changed a lot today. Now everybody's wearing jeans, right? It's like, come on, man.
A little much.
Yeah, a little much.
That's a different story for a different time.
Of course.
Okay, Tatanka, he had the big debut October 21st on TV. Your Full-time now out on the road on the house show loop. You're working a lot with, again, Skinner and Cato. Paul Diamond, another great
Correct,
veteran.
yes.
Memories of working those two guys? Anything they might have taught a younger Tatanka in the ring, working night in, night out?
Skinner was just a great veteran in the business. Everyone knows about Steve Kern. Great veteran, very good, very technical. The biggest thing that I'd have to say to Steve Kern, not only thank you for on the third tryout, I got signed because of that third tryout, but also Skinner was a great veteran, just like Rick the Model Martel. Not only did they have a lot of knowledge about the business, but they helped the newcomers that Vince was doing things with to get to understand the business very quickly and to help get you over. So Steve Kern, I spent a lot of time with him at the beginning, and he really was very good in helping me get over. Meaning knowing it's not how much you do in the ring, it's doing those things, those few things, and doing them superb.
I think
and that's what those veterans teach.
That's a problem that we have right now in wrestling, at least what I face sometimes when we have the independent wrestling events.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere and learn wrestling moves. There's a lot of people that can teach you wrestling moves.
Of course.
But not unless you are actually living the life, whether you were a main event or bottom of the card, unless your full-time career was professional wrestling, you can't teach someone the professional wrestling business. It's like taking a giant 500-piece jigsaw puzzle and dumping it on a table. Well, here's a nice piece, here's a nice piece, here's a nice piece. You have to have the right people to help you put all 500 pieces together to make the puzzle.
Of
and
course.
Look at Steve Kern. After he was Skinner, he went on to be a very successful trainer of guys.
Of course, definitely. Agent. It's very important to have guys like that when you have newcomers in to help them. And it was very simple. You know, the good guy would come out just like a Rocky Balboa fight. You know, come out shining. Okay, knowing the right time to do the heat and knowing about that fiery babyface comeback. You know, now just the way they do things, it's so confusing. You know, and the moves, guys are all wanting to do all these big moves. You know, we were taught to build up to those big moves, not to start a match that you're coming off the top rope, not to start a beginning match that you're first on the card and you're down on the floor, or you're using chair shots.
Wanting to have the orgasm when the bell rings. You know
of course,
I mean?
exactly. Where
right.
do you go? You want to build up to it. The great storytellers would build up to it, and that doesn't mean only building the psychology, but building the moves too. Building the moves that you finally would weaken an opponent's part of his body, that you were able to submit him or be able to put his mat on the back of that mat and pin him 1, 2, 3. That's what it's about.
Imagine that. Professional wrestling matches where the goal of the two people in the ring having the wrestling match, where the attempt to present to the fans is you actually want to win the match.
Of course.
Not do every move that you've ever seen or know how to do.
Exactly. Tremendous. And that's what you get taught with a Steve Kern. That's what you get taught with a Rick the Model Martel. It's about building, knowing when to do things. It's about psychology, knowing why you're doing something, just not doing it. And it ain't about there showing all your moves. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, what has he always said? I only have 3 offensive moves. But man, when that glass would break, what a pop! Okay?
And he knew when to use
What
it.
a pop. Again, Ultimate Warrior. Come on. Come out and shake the rope. And he acted like that character. Clothesline, press. Boom, boom.
That's all he needed.
Slam. That's all he needed. Hulk Hogan, firing up. 1, 2, 3, boot. The big leg drop. And the building would come apart. Not coming off the top rope, not doing, you know, a moonsault off the top rope like a Bam Bam they could do over 400 pounds. Again, keeping it simple but believable and building the match. So again, Steve Kern was tremendous. Cato too. Cato had been around a lot. Don't forget Mr. Fuji was there at the time with him too. So to have Mr. Fuji, you know, to be able to work against him, a great manager, he gave me a great opportunity to be able to work not only with Cato, which is part of the Oriental Express, which was getting a lot of recognition at that time, but also to be able to work with a manager and understand how to be able to work with more than one person out there. Third person. And, of course, the fourth person being the referee. You got it.
great learning experience. I mean, you talk about guys that you'd look at that you'd want to be on the road with, as opposed to someone you might look at in more your own age bracket or experience bracket. You're not going to get as much out of it as working with a vet like those two guys.
Of course. So it's tremendous. And then out of that, that's where, again, as they seen that I was catching on very quickly, that's where they put me right into my first storyline with Rick the Model Martel. And Model did what he did with me is I was already getting it, but man, he polished me. He got timing, knowing where to be in the ring at the right time, portraying, doing all the things that we did, with storylines at TV, filming, the spray of the arrogance in my eyes when I came off to attack him because he was insulting me, just great stuff. So those veterans, those guys, people don't realize how invaluable that talent is, because some guys coming in when they're green, you don't know exactly what to do. So it's important to have a Steve Curran. It's important to have a Rick the Model Martel. It's important to have a Cato, guys like that to help you understand the business and actually get over.
I'm getting the music cue in the back. It's just about time to wrap up, but I do want to ask you this, since it did come up in the episode. If you were to, in 30 seconds or to a minute or so, to younger fans that may come across you from the action figures, the video games, and things like that, WWE Network, if they aspire to be a professional wrestling superstar, what advice would you give them as far as finding the right place to train, to learn how to do the profession right?
Of course. Well, first of all, what you want to do is you want to make sure that try at all costs. Of course, you've got the WWE facility in Orlando, okay? But again, there's stipulations to actually get in there. Again,
they're not going to take you off the street.
No, they're not going to take you off the street. Exactly.
Few exceptions.
No, a few exceptions, correct. They're finding their own talent. They're training their own talent. So what I want to say to you is just don't go out there and get someone that says, oh man, I could teach you professional wrestling, because at the end of the 90s, when wrestling was such a big boom, you had so many guys get into the wrestling industry because everyone wanted to be a wrestler. You had guys who were taking $3,000 from people, teaching them about wrestling, but they weren't teaching them the most important thing: psychology, character, knowing how to tell a story. All they were teaching you were moves. A lot of guys, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of people know moves. How many guys are doing the same moves? Hip tosses, body slams, arm drags, clotheslines. All of us do the same moves. But it's how you package that. It's how you present that, how you portray that to the fans. Please find someone who has success in the industry. Preferably find someone who's done it, not someone who hasn't done it, because they're going to teach you the proper things that if you have a dream of going to the WWE or making in this industry, you want to be taught by someone like that, because they're going to teach you just not about moves. They're not going to teach you about all. They're going to teach you psychology. They're going to teach you about gaining a character. They're also going to help you with interviews too. How to cut an interview, not ongoing, but to cut it with heart and passion, that it means something. The great interviews that we had during our time were tremendous, tremendous interviews. You don't see interviews like that now.
With the passion behind them. But I always look at it like this. If you're in a position to go play in the NFL, they're not going to have you coached by someone that played Pop Warner football.
Of course, you got it.
And that's what a lot of these wrestling schools
Exactly.
are like.
And Dan couldn't have said any better, guys. That's it right there. If you can go to the NFL, they want to know who you're coached by. They want to know, who is he coached by? Oh, great coach. I mean, he's already got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of wisdom in him already. All we got to do is just take what he already has and build upon that. They don't want to start and have to reprogram you. Believe me, a lot of people are going to WWE, and they're going to they go through that program several times because they have to reprogram the guys. They have to break them of everything they've learned and reprogram how to really, truly do this business.
And it's tough if they've been doing the indies for a while. They have what they think wrestling is programmed in their mind. It's tough to break them and redo it.
Exactly.
Start from scratch.
Exactly. So guys, find a proper training school. I was blessed to go to the Monster Factory, Larry Sharp's school. Danny Cage runs that school now. But I was there with, again, Larry Sharp. Larry Sharp was the manager of Bam Bam Bigelow. And during that time, Bam Bam was doing the big tours over Japan. And everyone knows about Japan.
Yeah.
If you were going to Japan, it's because you were being very successful. They didn't invite you to Japan, or especially during that day, unless you were something. Bam, bam, the people would split in Japan. Meaning, he would walk through, and it was like the
Human
Red
Sea,
Sea.
going the other way.
Oh, yeah, they were scared to death of Bam Bam Bigelow. And again, Larry Sharp was his manager. So Larry Sharp really understood the business. That's where I trained at, and we had guys like Dennis Knight and certain guys who were there who have been in the business for a long time, good work hands that could really teach you, again, the foundation that you needed to know. So find the proper place. Just don't go somewhere because it's a professional wrestling school.
And a great point can be made just about Larry Sharp. Was he a main eventer in WWF? No. But did he have a full-time career in professional wrestling as his source of income?
Of course.
Yes, he had a vault of knowledge to share. The weekend warriors that go and do independent wrestling a couple of times a month, that find a warehouse and set up a ring or two, again, they can teach you some moves, but they're not going to help you find the exact path and the proper way to go about that path. Get trained by a professional wrestler that had a full-time career, a full-time living, and a major league promotion, because those are the ones that are going to teach you how to get to and the best approach to get to the king of sports, whether it be WWF, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, Major League Wrestling, Japan, Mexico, Europe. Right now, there's a heck of a lot of options. Well, at least when we get out of these coronavirus times. But I want to thank Tatanka for being with us again. This was a great episode. I wanted to get that last part in. Again, if you're joining us during the live premiere, share your thoughts to my right. We always love to know what you fans think about the different topics, the different superstars. The Super Chat button is open for business if you want to help us keep the lights on. If you're not watching during the premiere and you still have some thoughts to add, in the description box below, leave us a message. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. And again, keeping the lights on, keeping those legends working that have been missing so many live wrestling matches, autograph signings, and so on due to coronavirus. The Patreon channel helps big time. For less than a cup of coffee down the street at Starbucks, you get early ad-free access to every episode of the talk show, our extensive studio shoot interview DVD collection, and so much more over at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. For our friend, the Native American Tatanka, the future Hall of Famer, I am a man that is going to be in no Hall of Fame, but that's all right. I still try and be a good guy. I'm Dan Marty. We'll see you next time. You and yours, be well, stay healthy.
See you guys. Thank you. We appreciate you.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Pittsburgh Civic Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the home of Maria Davis, Friday, February the 10th, 1995. In the opening contest, Aldo Montoya beat Quang. WWF Women's Champion Bull Nakano retained the title over Alundra Blaze. Shawn Michaels with the win over British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. Razor Ramon defeated Intercontinental Champion Jeff Jarrett via disqualification. Bob Holly victorious over Jimmy Del Rey. WWF Tag Team Champions, the Smokin' Guns, retained over Well Done. Lex Luger beat Tatanka, and in the main event, Bret the Hitman Hart defeated Owen Hart. If you were in Pittsburgh live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep wrestling legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.